In our previous lesson, we talked about how cities emerged from ancient villages and towns in the Indian subcontinent. And in that lesson, we focused on a city that thrived in the northern part of the subcontinent, which was Mathura. Now, in this lesson, we will now focus on a city that thrived in the southern part of the subcontinent, and this city that we will discuss in this lesson is Arikamedu. So let us now begin our discussion on the city of Arikamedu and learn how this city gained its importance and influence in the ancient times in the Indian subcontinent. When we have to trace how Arikamedu gained importance in the ancient times in the Indian subcontinent, we have to take into account its geographical location. This is because Arikamedu is located in a place which is very close to the Bay of Bengal. It is a coastal town, and here initially fishing was practiced. But somewhere between 2200 and 1900 years ago, Arikamedu emerged as an important center of Indo-Roman trade. That is, trade happened between the Indian subcontinent and the Roman Empire. Now look at this map closely. In the present day Indian Union territory of Puducherry, Arikamedu is located. Here you can see Arikamedu and here you can see the city of Pondicherry. Now Arikamedu emerged as an important trading center. Between the Indian subcontinent and the Roman Empire, trade had developed and flourished since the ancient times. And Arikamedu is one such port town through which trade between the subcontinent and the Roman Empire was carried out. Now, what kind of things were traded in this Indo-Roman trade? Because whenever we have to take into account any trade activities, we should also take note of the various kinds of things that were traded there. Now, between the Indian subcontinent and the Roman Empire, luxury goods constituted the main items. Let us now list some of those luxury items that were both exported from the Indian subcontinent as well as imported to the Indian subcontinent. Firstly, we begin by discussing the items that were exported from the Indian subcontinent. That is to say, these items were sent to the Roman Empire from the Indian subcontinent. And these items would include spices, muslin, pearls, jewels, precious stones from central and southern India. So you can understand all of these were luxury items because spices have been always very exquisite in the Indian subcontinent. Along with that, muslin is a very fine kind of silk. Pearls, jewels, precious stones are all luxury items, and these were sent from the Indian subcontinent to the Roman Empire, and these trade activities happened through the coastal town of Arikamedu. But do you think the Indian subcontinent only exported items to the Roman Empire? Most definitely not, because many other things were exported from the Roman Empire, and these things reached the Indian subcontinent through Arikamedu. And these things would include wine, potteries, glassware and gems. And one thing that we need to take into account in this regard is that both these items were luxury goods, and these were the main items that were traded in this Indo-Roman trade. Since this Indo-Roman trade happened thousands of years ago, between 2200 years and 1900 years ago, Arikamedu has now become an archaeological site. Because archaeologists have found wonders when they excavated this site at Arikamedu. They have discovered a lot of things that were traded between the subcontinent and the Roman Empire. Firstly, we come to a warehouse that was excavated at this site. This warehouse was a large structure, and this has not survived fully, but from what has survived we can understand that this was a large place where different kinds of items were kept. So the items that were either exported from the subcontinent or imported to the subcontinent might have been kept at this warehouse initially. Along with this, archaeologists have found another kind of thing in this archaeological site, which is the amphorae. Now what is an amphora? An amphora, as you can see here, is a kind of vase or a jar. It has an oval structure at the middle, and here at the top of it, it is a long cylindrical neck, and it also has two handles attached to both the sides of it. Now these amphorae have been very widely used in the ancient times in the Roman Empire. Now why do you think were these amphorae used? These were used to contain various kinds of liquids. We have learnt that from the Roman Empire, wine was imported to the Indian subcontinent. So in all probability, this wine that was imported to the subcontinent was carried and contained in these amphorae. So how fascinating is it to learn about these things that were traded between the subcontinent and the Roman Empire so many thousands of years ago. Now from this we come to another kind of thing that have been excavated at this site, and it is the Argentine ware. Now this Argentine ware was another kind of red glazed pottery that was also used in the Roman Empire. Now this kind of pottery derived its name from a Roman town by the name of Arretium. So these are some of the items that were traded between the Roman Empire and the Indian subcontinent, and these have been found through archaeological excavations at Arikamedu. Through these archaeological excavations, archaeologists have found traces of other things that were traded between these two places, and those other things would include Roman lamps, Roman glassware and gems. So many kinds of exotic and magnificent things were traded between these two regions. Whenever trade activities develop and flourish between two regions, the cultures of each of these regions also start inspiring and influencing the other. Now something similar happened on account of this Indo-Roman trade that happened through the coastal city of Arikamedu. Now locally made pottery, as in the pottery that was made in the Indian subcontinent, carried distinct traces of Roman designs. So from this what we can understand is that Roman influence got carried and distinctly imbibed into the cultural atmosphere of the Indian subcontinent as well. Now in these potteries that were made in the Indian subcontinent, various inscriptions in the Brahmi script have also been found. Now these inscriptions also play an important role in telling us about the making of these potteries. Firstly, when we get to see these potteries, we can understand the different materials which were used for the making of these potteries. And further, these inscriptions help us understand a lot of details about who made this pottery, from where this pottery came. And the Brahmi script has been in use in the southern part of Asia since the ancient times. So from this we can also understand the language that was used by the people who lived in the ancient times in the southern part of the Indian subcontinent. And here in Arikamedu, small tanks have also been found. Now archaeologists have guessed that these tanks were probably used for vat dyeing. Now vat dyeing is a process of dyeing. It is a process of using colors to dye some textile or any other material. and the small tanks that have been excavated at Arikamedu were probably used for the purpose of vat dyeing. Through these excavations, archaeologists have also found the traces of beads. Now these beads were made from semi-precious stones and glass. From this we can understand that these beads were used by the people who lived in the Indian subcontinent during the ancient times. And mind you, we also mentioned that semi-precious stones constituted a very important item in the Indo-Roman trade. All this while we have been talking about how Arikamedu gained importance as a thriving city on account of the trade that happened through this coastal city between the Indian subcontinent and the Roman Empire. It is only because of this Indo-Roman trade that Arikamedu gained importance, it gained influence. But a question that arises in this regard is that where was this Roman Empire situated? It was situated in the continent of Europe. So in this lesson that traces the trajectory of evolution of the villages to the cities and towns, let us briefly talk about the Roman Empire. Rome is one of the oldest cities in Europe, and it developed around the same time as the cities in the Ganga Valley. Now, who founded this city of Rome, and when was it founded? In the year 753 BCE, King Romulus founded the city of Rome, and it was one of the capitals of the great and the very powerful Roman Empire. This map shows you the extent of the Roman Empire that spanned across the continents of Europe, Africa and Asia. Now Rome is the capital city of the present day nation of Italy. Now before proceeding with this lesson, let me ask you a question. Which king had founded the city of Rome? Was it founded by Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, King Romulus or Charlemagne? Well, the correct answer is King Romulus. It was in 753 BCE when King Romulus founded the city of Rome. Now we have learned that it was King Romulus who founded the city of Rome, but Augustus Caesar, who was the first Roman emperor and one of the most powerful and most influential Roman emperors, who gave the city of Rome the dimension, the stature it has today. It is because when he came to power, he found the city was made of only brick. He found the city in an almost dilapidated condition. And as this quote reads here, he said, "I found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marble." So he gave Rome the importance, the grandeur, the splendidness that it has today. The Roman Empire boasted of absolutely magnificent and splendid pieces of architecture. These architectures are absolutely breathtaking. The Roman emperors built amphitheaters. Now I am sure most of you have visited a theatre at some point in your life. In these theatres you go to watch movie or various theatrical performances like drama. Now these amphitheaters in the Roman Empire was something different from what we see in today's world. These amphitheaters were open theaters. These were open air theaters, as you can see here. There is no one auditorium to enclose the amphitheater. And here at the center was a circular place where performances used to take place, and it was surrounded by a whole host of seats in a circular manner. The amphitheaters were very huge in size. And what kind of performances took place in these amphitheaters? Here, the citizens watched various kinds of public spectacles. These public spectacles included gladiator fights, the drama performances of various mythological tales, and various other theatrical performances. Now, when we talk about the amphitheatres in the Roman Empire, we should definitely mention the Roman Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum is the largest amphitheatre that has ever been built in this world. I'm sure most of you have seen images of the Roman Colosseum if you haven't visited it already. It is absolutely splendid and marvelous to look at. In this Roman Colosseum, performances do not take place, but tourists from all over the world visit this Roman Colosseum every year. Now, along with building amphitheatres, there were separate public baths that were also built. Now, these public baths had separate timings for men and women. And in these public baths, people used to go to spend time and relax. We have reached an end of our discussion on vital villages and thriving towns. In this series of lessons, we have been trying to understand the evolution. That is, how villages gave birth to towns, how towns gave birth to cities. Earlier on, after people gave up the pursuit of hunting gathering, they formed settlements. With the growing population and the pursuit of agricultural activities, people started living in villages. We focused on villages in our lessons. We learned how people lived in these villages. We also learned how Jataka tales, sculptures, punch-marked coins, or even archaeological excavations play a very crucial role in providing us very valuable information on the lives of the people who lived in the villages in the ancient Indian subcontinent. Subsequently, we focused on the use of iron tools and how the use of iron tools also encouraged the growth of agriculture. All these together, along with the growth of population, led to the birth of towns. People started moving to these towns in search of better jobs, and in these towns, people from different rungs of the society, different classes of the societies started staying. And these towns with time slowly emerged as centers of trade activities. But these towns were not restricted, because with time these towns now gave birth to cities. And these cities flourished as very important administrative, economic and religious centers. We focused on two cities, to be very specific, which were Mathura in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent and Arikamedu, that was in the southern part of the Indian subcontinent. Now, India has been going through a series of changes and evolution to reach the place where it is today. In today's world, we take for granted a lot of things that we see and experience in our everyday lives. Be that the buildings we live in, the vehicles we commute in, the food items we consume, our ways of living. But if we try to trace the very point of origin, we will understand how we have gone through series of evolution and changes. And when we take into account these villages, we will be very fascinated to know that these villages constituted the primal or the focal point of existence in the ancient times. And these villages with time gave birth to the cities and the towns that you and I live in. So with this, we conclude the lesson on vital villages and thriving towns. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.